She thought he was just a quiet numbers guy. Boring, predictable, easy to betray. But when she married his best friend in Vegas and sent him a photo to gloat, she didn't expect the storm he'd unleash. What she didn't realize was that the man she thought was weak had been watching, planning. And when he struck back, it wasn't with rage. It was with cold, flawless precision. This isn't just a story of infidelity. It's a masterclass in payback. One that left a courtroom breathless and a betrayer with nothing but regret. Before we begin, please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The night it all broke wasn't loud. No screaming. No chaos. Just a single vibration in the dark. At 1:47 a.m., Blake Anderson's phone buzzed against the oak nightstand beside his bed in his Boston apartment. Half awake, he expected a work notification, maybe something from Wall Street's early risers or a client email out of time zone. But instead, he saw the name Jenna, his wife. She was supposed to be staying with her cousin Nicole in Vermont for a girls' weekend. No drama. No suspicion. He tapped the notification. There it was. A photo. Jenna stood in a short white dress next to Gavin Brooks, his best friend since college, smiling beneath the tacky neon lights of a Vegas wedding chapel. In her hands, a marriage certificate. The text under the photo. Just got hitched to Gavin. Surprise, thanks for being such a joke. Have fun in your sad little world. XO. Blake didn't panic. His heart didn't race. He blinked. Then something strange happened. He smiled. He didn't feel shattered. He felt sharp. Alive. Not like a man left behind, but like a man who had just snapped out of coma. He climbed out of bed, walked to the kitchen, and poured himself a glass of cold water. The air was still, clean. Then he opened his laptop. Blake was a senior financial strategist for one of Boston's elite asset firms. Numbers were his language. Systems were his religion. And betrayal? That was a math problem he could solve. Within the hour, Jenna's name was removed from every joint credit card. He transferred $82,000 from their shared accounts to his private one, leaving precisely $21.12 behind, which was all she'd added in the past month from her boutique PR gig. Then the locks. By 4:30 a.m., a tired locksmith named Derek was replacing every bolt, hinge, and security code in the brownstone Blake had bought alone before marriage. Every action was documented. Time-stamped screenshots, receipts, doorbell cam footage, bank logs. Jenna's digital identity, her access to shared apps, emails, and cloud drives, was erased like it had never existed. By 5:55 a.m., Blake's entire world had shifted. And when dawn broke, he shaved, got dressed in a crisp gray suit, and left for work like it was just another Friday. Because for him, it was the first day of the rest of his life. Blake spent the entire Friday working like nothing had happened. His focus was pristine. Portfolio reviews, strategy calls, forecasts. His boss, Meredith Clark, even dropped by mid-afternoon to praise his Henderson merger report. "You're always so steady, Blake," she said. "Clients trust that." He gave her a calm smile. Steady works. Steady. Predictable. That's what Jenna had called him in her journal. At 6:15 p.m., he walked into the brownstone, his home, and began prepping Jenna's favorite meal, garlic butter salmon, wild asparagus, lemon risotto. He even uncorked the Chardonnay she swore tasted like gold. Not because he missed her, because he wanted the moment to be clean, perfect, ironic. He plated everything with care, poured the wine, and sat at the table, alone, watching Gordon Ramsay tear apart amateur chefs on TV while eating the dinner he once made for love. At 11:02 a.m. Saturday morning, the door pounded. Blake had been expecting it. He rose from the kitchen stool, calmly opened the front door. There stood Jenna, yesterday's dress crumpled, her eyes puffy, her hair tangled like she'd slept in a rental car. Her mascara had surrendered hours ago. "What the hell is wrong with my key?" she snapped, rattling the knob. "You got married," Blake said coolly, "in Vegas. With my best friend." "That's not. Blake, this isn't funny. Open the door. You want to talk about the Bellagio buffet too?" Her expression faltered. "How did you?" He opened the door and stepped aside. "Come in." Jenna barreled into the foyer, her heels clicking against hardwood. "You changed the locks?" she hissed. "I did." "You're insane." "No, Jenna. I'm awake." She paced into the kitchen, arms folded. I was drunk. It was a mistake. We didn't mean to. Blake poured himself iced tea and dropped in a lemon slice. You held up a legal document. You smiled for the camera. You texted it to me. That wasn't drunken clumsiness. That was intent. It's not real. It's just a piece of paper. Wrong. It's a felony. She stared at him. He continued. You married Gavin Brooks. My best man. You lied about being in Vermont. You laughed at me. You wrote, have fun in your sad little world. Ring any bells? Tears welled up in her eyes. I was angry. You never notice me anymore. You're always working. Gavin listens to me. He sees me. Blake took a long sip of his tea. Well then, congratulations. You got what you wanted. Wait, so that's it? She whispered, voice cracking. You're not even going to fight for me. I fought for us every day you were lying. You sent a wedding photo as my reward. The silence in the kitchen was brutal. I made a mistake, she whispered. Blake picked up the pitcher of ice water from the counter. Then, without warning, he poured it over her head. Jenna gasped, shrieking as freezing water soaked her dress and dripped onto the floor. She stumbled back, drenched, trembling. You maniac. That's assault. No, Blake replied calmly. That was hydration. You looked thirsty. I'm calling the cops. I'll wait. 20 minutes later, 2 police officers knocked on Blake's door. Officer Ramirez, tall and broad-shouldered, wore a look of seasoned weariness. The younger one, Officer Dillard, looked like he still believed in first dates and honest vows. Jenna met them outside, soaking wet, wrapped in a dish towel she'd snatched from the kitchen. Her voice trembled, part from cold, part from indignation. My husband assaulted me. He changed the locks, threw water on me. He's keeping me from my own home. Officer Ramirez turned to Blake, who stood silently behind the screen door, holding a manila folder. Sir, your side. Blake stepped outside and handed over the folder. That's a photo of my wife marrying another man in Las Vegas yesterday. There's the certificate, the timestamp, and the text she sent me with it. This house is legally mine, purchased solely under my name in 2018. I also have the prenup. Her name's not on the deed. Ramirez flipped through the documents, one brow rising. Miss Jenkins, is this you in the photo? Jenna blinked. It wasn't. It was drunk. A mistake. Ma'am, did you send this to your husband with a message written here? She swallowed. Ah, yes. But, Dillard glanced at Ramirez, then at Blake. Sir, did you pour something on her? Blake didn't flinch. A pitcher of cold water. After she broke in through the front door, she seemed overheated. Ramirez suppressed what might have been a smirk. Ma'am, this looks like a civil matter. If you want to contest anything, it needs to go through family court. Jenna's voice rose. But he poured water on me while you were in his house, which you're no longer legally entitled to occupy, while married to another man. Dillard said evenly. This is crazy. You're just letting him. Miss, Ramirez cut in gently. You married someone else while still married. That's not something we see every day. You may want to get a lawyer. This is above our pay grade. The officers left. Jenna stood in the driveway, stunned, dripping, fuming. Blake? He returned inside, poured himself a fresh glass of tea, and started a load of laundry. But peace didn't last. At 2:40 p.m., the second wave hit. Jenna returned, this time with her mother Cynthia, her cousin Nicole, and, yes, Gavin Brooks. Cynthia, in a designer coat far too warm for spring, stomped up Blake's porch like a woman ready for war. This is harassment, she yelled. You can't just kick a woman out of her marital home. Blake opened the door, still as calm as a lake in winter. Cynthia, legally, this isn't her home. And coming from a former paralegal, I'm surprised you're not aware of that. You smug little parasite, Cynthia snapped. He tilted his head. Still speaking above your pay grade, I see. Nicole stepped forward, always the mediator. Blake, look, I know it's messy, but Jenna didn't mean for this to happen. She packed a white dress. She bought a plane ticket. She signed a marriage certificate. She sent me a photo. What part wasn't meant? Gavin finally spoke, voice small. Look, man, I didn't plan this. It just got out of hand. Blake narrowed his eyes. You've been to my house, sat at my table, toasted to my marriage. You knew exactly what you were doing. It was a mistake, Gavin mumbled. Oh, I believe you now, Blake said. You both look miserable. Must be quite the honeymoon. Jenna's voice cracked. I'm entitled to half of everything. Massachusetts is a community property state. Blake grinned. Prenup. Signed. Notarized. Ironclad. Remember? You called it romantic when I brought it up. Cynthia jumped in. We have a lawyer. No, you have Devin, who handles car accidents and backyard dog bites. I'll be talking to Harrison Lee, the guy who sues investment firms and wins. Nicole stepped back. Gavin looked like he wanted to disappear. Can I get my clothes? Jenna asked finally. They're in the garage. Boxed. Labeled. Bubble wrapped. I even color-coded your scars by season. Jenna stared at him, unsure if she was more offended by the lockout or the organization. You can't just throw me out like garbage, she whispered. I didn't, Blake replied softly. You walked out the moment you boarded that plane to Vegas. You just didn't know it yet. Sunday morning arrived with the low rumble of a rental truck. Blake stood behind the blinds of his upstairs bedroom window, sipping coffee as the unmistakable shape of a U-Haul backed into his driveway. Jenna climbed out first, directing the clumsy efforts of Gavin and Nicole, who looked far less enthusiastic than she did. She was barking orders, but Gavin looked like a man being held hostage by his own decisions. When the cashier at the U-Haul counter swiped Jenna's card and shook his head, Blake watched the entire animated charade unfold. Jenna flailing her arms, Gavin reluctantly pulling out his wallet. The damage was already snowballing. But Blake wasn't done. By Monday, he had called his old college buddy, Zach Foster, an IT forensics consultant. I need a deep pull from Jenna's iCloud backup, Blake said over the phone. Every deleted message you can recover. Texts, app chats, all of it. Zach hesitated. That's a hell of a rabbit hole, man. I want the truth. All of it. All right. But whatever I find, you'll have to live with it. Already am. 2 days later, Zach emailed Blake a 300-page PDF titled, Jenna Retrieved. Blake spent the night alone in his study, reading each word under a single desk lamp like a surgeon examining pathology slides. It wasn't just Gavin. It wasn't even just cheating. It was strategy. Cruel, calculated manipulation. One message from Jenna to Gavin. Blake's so predictable. He never checks the joint account. I pull a few hundred each month. He won't notice. To someone named Aiden. He's obsessed with work. Makes me feel like a houseplant with a credit card. Another to Ryan. Trying to build a case to make him look controlling. If I get him to snap, I can push for more alimony. Blake's hands clenched the pages. She was orchestrating a takedown. $1, one lie, one planted complaint at a time. But the Vegas marriage? That was just the fireworks at the end of a very long, very dark fuse. Blake didn't sleep that night. He didn't rage either. He simply printed everything, bound it in black folders, labeled them with dates, then called Mason Grant, the top divorce attorney in Boston, known for being ruthless, discreet, and worth every billable hour. You got a nuclear file, Mason said during their first meeting. Most of these cases end in bitter compromise. Yours? We can burn this down clean. Blake gave a single nod. Good. I want her exposed, but legally. No shortcuts. I want the truth to destroy her, not emotion. The next 2 weeks felt like a chess game, except Blake already knew her every move before she made it. Jenna tried everything. She had her father, Douglas Jenkins, call Blake's employer and claim that Blake was emotionally unstable. Meredith Clark shut that down before it started. She married someone else. Blake still showing up on time and outperforming half the floor. I'm not buying it. Then Jenna tried breaking into the brownstone again. This time at 2:12 a.m., caught on camera attempting to pry the back door with a credit card. Blake called the cops. Again. This time, she was arrested. Her mugshot landed on Boston Daily's Wild Weekend Arrests post. Clients from her boutique PR firm started canceling. By Friday, she was fired. The spiral had begun. But Blake wasn't done. On December 14th, one day before their scheduled hearing, Blake received a call from a strange number. Hello. Is this Blake Anderson? It is. This is Helen Brooks, Gavin's mother. Blake sat up. How can I help you, Mrs. Brooks? I think it's time to stop being vindictive. I'm sorry. Jenna is staying with my son. Well, sort of. And this entire thing has been exhausting. You're destroying her. Just drop the case. Take her back. Be the bigger man. Blake closed his eyes. Mrs. Brooks, your son married my wife. Jenna betrayed me repeatedly, stole from me, then tried to publicly humiliate me. I don't want revenge. I want consequences. And they're not just hers. They're Gavin's too. He lit the match. You're being dramatic. No, Blake said calmly. I'm being surgical. He hung up. The next day, he walked into the courthouse wearing his best Navy suit, holding his black evidence binder under one arm. Jenna was already there, flanked by her newest attorney, a kid named Brandon Holt who looked like he'd just graduated law school. She looked tired. Her dress wasn't designer. Her makeup tried to mask the wear and tear of months unraveling. But Blake didn't feel pity. He felt resolve. The courtroom was sharp with silence as the clerk announced the case. Case number 2025 FL 9342. Anderson versus Anderson. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Judge Loretta Whitaker, a seasoned woman in her 60s with frost-gray hair and eyes like polished steel, adjusted her glasses and looked over the file. Blake stood tall at the petitioner's table beside Mason Grant, who looked freshly sharpened like a knife on trial day. At the other table, Jenna fidgeted beside Brandon Holt, her rookie lawyer, who already looked 3 arguments behind before the first word was spoken. Mr. Holt, Judge Whitaker began, your client married Gavin Brooks in Las Vegas on November 10th, while still legally married to the petitioner. Do you deny this? Brandon cleared his throat. Your Honor, my client was emotionally vulnerable. The marriage to Mr. Brooks was a lapse in judgment. A lapse, she cut in. She held a certificate. She smiled for a photo. She sent that photo to her husband with the message, thanks for being such a joke. This was not a drunken stumble in an alley. It was a declaration. Jenna shifted, cheeks burning. Mr. Grant. Judge Whitaker turned. Mason stepped forward. Your Honor, we've prepared comprehensive documentation, exhibits A through D, including photographic evidence of bigamy, digital correspondence proving months of financial deception, and testimonial record from IT forensic recovery. He handed the judge a thick black folder. Among the recovered messages, Mason continued, are conversations in which the respondent refers to the petitioner as clueless, discusses removing funds from joint accounts to fund dates, and seeks advice from others on how to manipulate legal optics to appear as the victim. Judge Whitaker flipped through the papers, her expression darkening. Miss Jenkins, did you write these? Jenna's voice cracked. Yes, but I didn't mean. Did you steal money from your husband's account without his consent? Yes, but did you marry Gavin Brooks while married to Mr. Anderson? Tears welled. Yes. Judge Whitaker leaned back. Miss Jenkins, I presided over family law for 23 years. I've seen infidelity. I've seen lies. But I have never seen a betrayal so methodically planned, so selfishly executed, and so thoroughly documented by the betrayer herself. Jenna sobbed quietly into a tissue. The court finds in favor of the petitioner, the judge declared. The prenuptial agreement is hereby upheld. All assets remain with Mr. Anderson. Additionally, due to financial misconduct and reputational damage, the respondent will pay monthly alimony in the amount of $500 for a term of 12 months. Brandon rose. Your Honor, surely this is excessive. Judge Whitaker's gaze pinned him. Mr. Holt, consider this an education. If a man had done this to a woman, I'd have tripled the alimony and called the press. Court adjourned. She banged the gavel. The verdict echoed louder than thunder. Outside the courtroom, Cynthia, Jenna's mother, cornered Blake. You think this is justice? You destroyed her future. No, Blake replied, voice like ice. She did. Nicole hurled a coffee cup in his direction, but missed entirely, hitting Helen Brooks instead. Helen screamed, lunging at Nicole as court security rushed to pull them apart. Blake didn't flinch. He was already walking away, already done. But Jenna chased after him. Blake, please. I have nowhere to go. Nicole's couch is mice. I'm applying for jobs, but no one's calling back. I lost everything. He stopped. You didn't lose everything, Jenna. You threw it away. I know I messed up, she whispered. I was selfish and stupid and, God, I thought you were boring. But you weren't. You were kind. You were real. He looked at her. This woman he'd once called home. She wasn't cruel now. She was empty, just hollow with regret. I'm sorry, she whispered. I believe you, Blake said. But sorry doesn't change the past. 6 months later, Blake sold the brownstone and moved into a modern downtown condo with river views and peace he hadn't known in years. He furnished it with things he liked, not things Jenna had picked for magazine aesthetic. No more glass coffee tables or impractical velvet chairs. Just clean wood, warm light, and a sense of self. At a retirement gala for one of his firm's senior partners, he met Daniel Hartman, a school counselor with a dry wit, gentle laugh, and twin daughters who loved science experiments and strawberry ice cream. On their fourth date, Daniel asked, "You're nothing like I expected for someone in finance." "How so?" "You feel grounded, like someone who walked through fire but came out carrying the matchbook." Blake smiled. "I had a bad investment once. Divorce. Worse. False hope." Daniel smiled. "Well, their loss." 1 year later, on a quiet autumn morning, Blake's doorman buzzed his unit. "There's a visitor here who says she knows you." Jenna stood in the lobby, thinner, humbler, hair shorter, and styled like someone who no longer had time for luxury salons. "I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry. Not because I want something, but because I owe you the truth." Blake nodded. "Okay. I was cruel. I had everything, and I threw it away." "Gavin?" "He lasted 3 weeks. I haven't seen him since he moved to Phoenix with some blackjack dealer. I work at a call center now. I rent a studio next to a gas station. I eat canned soup, and I ride the bus." He said nothing. "I heard you're seeing someone." "I am. Are you happy?" Blake thought of Daniel's laugh, the way the twins ran to hug him after school. The silence of a life, not poisoned by lies. "I am. Good." Jenna gave a sad smile. "You deserve it." She turned to leave, then paused. "Blake, yeah. You weren't boring. You were steady. And I was too stupid to see that it was everything I ever needed." He nodded. "Take care of yourself, Jenna." She walked off, disappearing into the crowd and into a life of her own making. Blake turned, rode the elevator back to his apartment where Daniel was roasting vegetables and the twins were painting on the balcony. His phone buzzed. A text. "Daniel, dinner in 10. The girls want to show you their volcano project." Blake smiled. Perfect. No souvenirs needed. No vengeance. Just clarity. He'd lost a marriage, but he'd found his peace. He'd lost Jenna, but he'd found himself. And finally, he was ready to live the life she never believed he deserved.